You right to go, Mark?
Absolutely.
DP download number 47. Welcome. I have with me this week Michael Doherty.
Morning,
He's been on the radio this week, so what have you been talking about, Mike?
Yeah, a bit happening, Dan, this week. It's
I've been glad you've been on the radio this week,
Michael.
Yeah,
it's been a bit tough those early mornings, that's for sure. Been CPI or inflation week, I guess you could call it. CPI figures out today. We've seen, and you've probably noticed at the petrol pump, a bit of a jump in petrol prices, so that's expected to have a big effect on the quarterly figure to come out. So 0.8%. The expected numbers today.
It's pretty low, Michael, isn't it?
It is. Over the year, it's still only 1.7%. So, you know, well...
What's the average, 2 to 3, or their band?
Yeah, that's right. RBA target rate 2 to 3, so well within or well under that range at the moment. I mean, of course, too, the RBA and the Treasury as well also use, you know, the underlying inflation, which sort of strips out those more volatile movements like petrol.
Yes.
So, you know, I don't think... I don't think certainly inflation's of any great concern to anyone at this stage. So, you know, certainly interest rates on hold for the immediate future still.
Do you think that petrol, the low petrol prices that we saw for a couple of months there, do you think that was a benefit? Like for extra dollars being put through the system?
It doesn't seem to have really hit the ground as such. I mean, you know, if you look at all the retail sales, and you know, that's typically where people, you know, put a bit of extra dough, don't they? If they've got a bit in the pocket. Certainly didn't seem to have a great impetus, because you're right. I mean, a lower petrol price or lower fixed cost like that is typically, you know, very similar to an interest rate cut in a lot of respects. But yeah, really, we haven't seen sort of that.
It really hasn't flowed through this time, has it?
Yeah, it hasn't at all. And again, I think it's still this underlying, you know, low levels of confidence, both at business and the consumer level then. So, you know, people just sitting on their hands. Yeah,
I saw a Commonwealth Bank report, though, where they're saying that confidence is picking up in the business sector. And I think some of that might be on the back of the sweetener that they threw at businesses where they can claim that 20,000. So. Yeah,
that's right. No, it was a, that 20 odd grand, you know, straight up deduction was pretty enticing, for sure. But Dan, we've got a new investment on the go at the moment?
Yeah, it's pretty good, I think, Michael, too. We haven't really taken any listed investment companies from the floats, have we, in the past? And given those and offered those to our clients, but I think it's the time of the market for this one, Michael.
Yeah, it is. It's and certainly too, I guess here in the office, and I'm sure you'd agree, we typically do focus on the top 50, you know, top 100 companies, whereas this new float, the Glennon Small Companies, that's being listed out, sort of looks at that I guess universe outside of the top 100. You know, which obviously there's some growth, you know, but certainly some growth potential. It's probably a little bit spicier on the risk side of things.
But when, you know, they're not looking at biotechs and smaller companies, are they? Although they say smaller companies, it's more the emerging leader space where he's going to be investing, I think.
Absolutely, Dan. No, I mean, if you look at the top 100 at the moment, you know, Commonwealth Bank's, you know, from a market capitalisation point of view, is sort of the largest company, I guess, from that measure. But I think it's Premier Investments that sits at number 100 at the moment, and it's a $2.1 billion company. So if you look at just outside of that top 100 mark, you're looking at companies like, you know, JB Hi-Fi, M2 Group, Invocare, you know, which is one we followed for a long time.
Capilano Honey.
So you know,
it's done really well recently.
Absolutely. So there is some real quality companies in that space that, you know, just probably drift off the radar for some investors. So again, this vehicle really a good opportunity, we think, to explore that space without having to make that specific sort of company
decision
call
yourself. And you know, Michael, if we cast back to pre-GFC, you know, around this sort of time, people were getting bored with blue chips, weren't they, and looking for more growth stocks. So I really think this one's coming to the market at the right time.
Exactly right. History tells us, doesn't it, that after a big correction, if people do commit back to the share market, they go to the big blue chips, the big defensives to start with, and we've seen that, you know, through the banks and the Wesfarmers
and a lot for the yield side of things.
Absolutely. So certainly, from that historical point of view, you could certainly argue that smaller cap range, and really, again, this company's more a mid-cap range, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, call it small caps probably isn't quite correct, but you know, there will be a few small caps in there, but yeah, so there certainly is some potential there, no doubt about it. So.
I think the other thing I like, Michael, is it's not going to be a huge offering, is it? 50 million, you know, so they should be able to move around the market pretty easily, rather than, what is it, Colonial Smaller Companies Fund with $100 million, or was it almost $1 billion in there? Yeah. It's pretty massive, that fund in itself. So people are watching it for where it's going all the time, where this one should be able to move around pretty easily.
Yeah, very true. And they've certainly too confirmed that the number of shares in the fund, or that the company isn't going to be that big either, anywhere between 20 to 50 companies.
Yep.
So they're not going to own hundreds and hundreds of, you know, tiny
Which
little
makes sense,
holdings.
doesn't it? You get a bit of bang for your buck.
Absolutely.
Economies for scale, I suppose.
No, very true.
Now, there's an option with it, Michael, so a $1 option, which investors would have to take up within 12 months if they wanted to buy the share under that option. But you and Brendan have been crunching some numbers around that?
That's right, Dan. Yeah. So I guess some of the logistics, I guess, around the listing. So it's the Glennon Small Companies, well, trust or investment, I suppose. Stock, yeah, LIC, a listed investment company. Stock code will be GC1. And as Dan mentioned, yes, there's a free option with each share that you take up. With the Glennon fund, like a lot of these LICs and managed funds, there is a management fee involved, and with Glennon there is a service fee, a 2% service fee, which will be taken out straight away, which, you know, will drop the net asset value of the fund back to, say, that 98-cent mark,
yes,
albeit you pay $1 for it. But yeah, certainly if you do a little bit of basic number crunching with the option, if you use the old Black-Scholes formula from the old finance days, it sort of comes up with a figure that option should trade at around about, you know, anywhere between 4 to 6 cents.
Yeah.
So the value of that option should supersede, you know,
so
that lower NAV. So from that point of view, yeah, you know, it looks like it's going to be reasonably good value for money. Management fee is targeted at 1% per annum, which again in the broad scheme of things is pretty good.
It's about, you know, 0.9% less than a retail managed fund.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely, and a lot of the fees that they've and we'll get April to stick a chart up with how the performance of this particular investment's gone. A lot of the fees quoted on those charts are all net of costs. So
the returns.
The returns, yeah. So the fund has performed very well. You know, Michael Glennon, who is the chair of this new company, he's been in this industry a fair while, 17 odd years. Went out on his own about 6 years ago, I think it was, and been operating this fund. And the 5-year performance, has been exceptional.
Yep, and perhaps, Michael, that's the biggest risk: the fact that it's not really a one-man band, but he seems to be the brains behind the whole outfit. And if something were to happen there, that could be an issue.
Very true, and that is one of the weaknesses. Yes, that there is a high level of key person risk or key man risk as such, and it's a very light on team. I think there's only 2 or 3 other analysts there, but you know. I guess we're sort of guilty in this industry of saying, you know, this particular investment's performed well in the past, but then don't use that as a guide to make your investment decisions. So we sort of contradict ourselves a bit there. But there are some very good runs on the board, and, you know, we're extremely confident that.
The runs on the board, I really think it's the time for those smaller companies to shine, and proven management. You know, it seems to be a good offer.
Yeah, absolutely. So that float, I think we've got a little bit of time on that. I think we're sort of looking at around early August, close off for that. Minimum investment's quite reasonable as well, $2,000 minimum crack, and then in increments of $500 after that.
Yep. I think 5,000 there you should look at, really, because that way you're getting a good number of options there as well. So, you know, if it's trading at $2 down in 11 months' time, you can pay that $1 and to buy the option and receive a $2 share. So it's, you know, well worth doing.
Absolutely, and those options are inherently a geared sort of investment, aren't they? so that you can really see some good amplified returns out of those types of arrangements. So. But if you're interested, or if you want more information, give us a call or send us through an email. More than happy to run you through it. There's a pretty good website. I'm pretty sure it's just www.glennon.com.au. Have a look on there, a lot of good information, the prospectus, of course. We'll be running, all of our current clients will be running basically through the E-Trade settlement system, so pretty straightforward. If you're not a client of ours and you did want to get your hands on some of this stuff, you will actually need to set up an account with us. Previously, we've been able to sort of do these floats on a issuer-sponsored basis, without needing to set up an account with us. But unfortunately, this time round, we can't do that. But again, let us know. The wonderful girls here will, let you know what we need to do, and we can take it from there.
No worries at all. Very good. Thanks for that. And that was download number 47.
47. Done and dusted. Thank you.